I rise today to speak about National Agriculture Day. I want to express my support for farmers who grow our food, who manage the agricultural landscape, and who plan for the future. Farming is one of the more financially unpredictable occupations. Sometimes I feel it's right up there with professional gambling or share market trading. And yet I admire the people who take up farming as a career or a way of life. And unfortunately, expectations of financial security in farming are declining, and this is evidenced by the lack of people wanting to get into farming. Now, overall, there's still the potential for good profits, but the scale of modern agriculture requires significant financial capital. We have corporate and foreign buyers coming in to pick up the slack when our own Australian buyers are not there. And it is quite difficult for people to see this happening. I mean, we've got people who buy their neighbor's farm, and they're getting larger and larger. But of course, that requires debt to be taken out on these farms. And then you have to make the interest repayments. So although a lot of our farms started way back when land was gifted through grant schemes or that, now farmers have to make up that interest as well. So the returns are getting smaller and smaller. And it's quite unfortunate. I mean, we know it's expensive to get into it. It's very hard to come up with the millions of dollars you need. We've got declining rainfall and other climate issues that are making it more and more unpredictable. Our soils are becoming more depleted. We've got the risks of salinity and acidic soils spreading. So there's becoming more and more landscape that we're not able to farm. And then on top of this, when you have less farms or bigger farms, you've got less staff out there, less employees, less work for them. And you've got the declining rural populations that we're seeing, where we're losing the schools or the healthcare facilities. And then you lose the shops and the other services that you need. And as those families leave, then you get more. And we're seeing a gradual decline. Now, in the metropolitan area, all many people hear about is the bad things. You know, the live animal controversy that took a lot of attention for a while. And the drought, we've heard about that. And people are thinking, gee, why would anyone want to be a farmer? We hear about the falling prices, the grain trucks on the tourist routes. People complain about when they see that. And then there's also the difficulty finding seasonal workforce. It's a very distorted view of farming that the metropolitan dwellers, that they see. And if you ask them to picture a farm, you know, they'll come up with a dry, dusty landscape, possibly, you know, mega machinery being driven by one person in a very isolated area. Is it any wonder that fewer and fewer people are choosing to stay on the land? So we can see change is happening, but I don't believe it's all negative change. I think there's a big future in farming, and I think it's time that we need to act to make sure we stem that decline, because we depend on them, we need them. We've got to bring resilience back to the farms, to the farming communities, to the rural areas. We need to bring the health back to the regions. We need to think about our food security. It's great now. We, you know, produce 93% of our own food. We have to look at the varieties of what we're doing. And we have to acknowledge that communities are working together to make this better, to actually work together to generate their own life and atmosphere in their towns. The farmers that are out there want to stay out there, and they want more people out there so that we can go back to how it was, where we had real communities there. And there's a good side to farming. I mean, you've got the family is close, often have jobs for all the family on the farm. You've got your community because you're all in the same thing and you work together to help each other out. There's lots of open space, no traffic congestion. I mean, what city dweller wouldn't like to have a day without traffic? So, what is it that constrains farming as an industry? I mean, there are lots of positive things to it, but what is it that constrains it as an industry, or as a career choice, or as a future for all of us? So tomorrow, I'm bringing forward a motion where we'll get to talk about those things, where we can look into the further detail, so we can see how we can support farming communities, the farmers, the regional areas, our food security. because this is a very important thing to us. And so what I'd like to say is let's support National Agriculture Day. Let's support the farmers and their communities that produce our food. Let's talk positively about the qualities and the values of living regionally, and then back it up with programs and services and research and education, and work hand in hand with the people who form the backbone of the country. We'd be lost without them. Thank you.